here tonight, or this afternoon, because when we step out in the field against the Chennai Super Kings next week, I'm pretty certain that we'll be getting a few boos. So, look, it's great to be here. We always love coming to India to play cricket here, particularly because you are so passionate about cricket. Obviously, I'm not here just to talk about cricket today, but also about the university. As I said, I grew up in Perth. I lived the first 26 years of my life there. I don't actually live there now. I live in Sydney because I play for New South Wales. But I can say one thing about Perth is that I loved growing up there. It is a beautiful place. It's a lot quieter place than some of the places in Australia, so it's easy to get around. The weather's beautiful. The university campus itself is magnificent. It's the most prestigious university in Western Australia. That was the reason I went there, due to its reputation. And I know that the 3 years I had there studying, I thoroughly enjoyed. Even though I did say that my passion was cricket, I did actually quite enjoy studying, but there's also a lot of other activities at the uni that you can partake in as well. I have been informed by Professor Sharda that the college here is obviously the cream of the crop in terms of engineering students, and you guys are the best of the best. So from that point of view, I can thoroughly recommend the university and what it has to offer. A little bit more about myself, I guess. I haven't actually used my degree, and that's basically because when I finished it, I started to play professionally for WA. So technically, it hasn't really been used properly, but I think it has come in handy in that it did take the pressure off my cricket performances, and it also came in handy because it gave me a better understanding of having done commerce, investment and taxation and finance and all that sort of stuff. So from my own personal point of view, it was, I guess, a good grounding in having a little bit more knowledge in that, plus the discipline of study and all those sort of things that you learn along the way. So from that point of view, it certainly has been certainly something that's been very good for me personally. In terms of my cricket career, it's been a long time, 15 years I think I've been playing professionally now. I've been fortunate to play in most places in the world, apart from Pakistan. I think it's the only place we haven't toured, due to obvious reasons. You obviously know that what that's all about. But I will say, and I'm not saying this just because I'm here in India, Ashes for us is obviously a huge tour, but because of the traditional rivalry, but for me personally, to have played Test Series here in India has probably been a career highlight, particularly the tour in 2004 when we actually managed to beat you guys, which was the first time in about 30 years that we've won on Indian soil. So that was pretty special to be able to do that. And I think I guess it's just because you guys are so passionate about cricket that's why we enjoy playing here. Not to mention the fact now that obviously you guys were ranked #1 in the world until England took that mantle, but I think the rivalry between... Sorry to mention that, but I had to get that in. But I think that the rivalry between Australia and India in the last 10 years has been magnificent, particularly in all forms of the game. So as a player, I think there's no better place in the world to play than here when there's a big crowd, plenty of noise, and the atmosphere is fantastic. Look, if anyone's got any specific questions that they would like to ask me, I'm more than happy to answer.
I know you'll have a lot of questions to Simon. I just wanted to add, because we could not show you the video, the reason Simon and I are both here is, I know you all know now University of Western Australia because of Simon, but I want to ask from raise of hand, how many of you know that my university has produced Nobel laureates? Now, what do I make of these IITians? We have produced 2 Nobel laureates, Professor Barry Marshall and Robin Warren. So what I wanted to just highlight a little bit was, that is the nature of the university we are. You know, Simon, I think Barry Marshall and Robin Warren, Barry Marshall found out that Helicobacter is the cause of ulcers in the stomach. So it's not in your field of engineering discipline, so you can be excused for not knowing. But this is the university which has produced Nobel laureates. And a couple of you would be glad to know that right now, why I'm in India is we are offering 50 India scholarship for the first time to only Indian students. You know, never before any Australian university has gone into India offering India-only scholarship. So these are the reasons that you need to look at us not just because we are here today with Simon, but for your higher education. If you have any interest in good quality education, you know you can get in touch with me as well as with Simon while he's here. The quality of education is second to none. That's something I have to tell you, because scholarships you never think of when you think of Australia. You only think of US and UK. But again, I want to, as Simon said, you may have some questions, and you're very welcome to ask questions, whether it is about studying overseas or whether it is cricket, to both of us. Cricket to Simon and study to me.
I always wanted to ask this question to an Australian cricketer. So, when you played against India, overseas or here, which is the batsman you worked more against, Tendulkar or Sehwag?
They're both very great, very good players. Obviously, Sachin's the greatest ever. But I think Sehwag as well deserves to be right up there, because obviously he opens the batting. So I've got to say good things about a fellow opener. But it was also the way he plays. He's obviously so attacking. So as an opposition player, we know that he's very tough to counter, because once he gets going, he's hard to stop. I was very fortunate to get him out one day at the MCG many years ago off a full toss, which is my common way of getting people out with my leg spinners. It's amazing how many times you get wickets off bad balls, but yeah, look, Sehwag's a very good player, and so is Sachin. And there's a number of other very good players in the Indian team. It was great to see Rahul Dravid score 3 centuries in England recently, given that he's 38 years old. It gives a lot of hope to us older players that there's still good times ahead.
Any other question? I have to make one confession. I watched Simon play last time in Bangalore, and we Indians, those who live there from last 25 years, when there's a cricket match between India and cricket, it's a big affair at home to go to a cricket match. We make a lot of aloo parathas, and all the families get together, and Indian side goes and sits in Indian side of the pavilion. You know, you can literally see a lot of curries on one side when India and Australia are playing in Melbourne or in Perth. But this time when I watched Simon playing on the field for the first time, once I knew he's my graduate, my colours changed totally. I've never bagged for Australia before that day. And that day, I did not like Australia losing when Simon was playing, and unfortunately, very rarely Australia has lost, and that day it lost. So we do get converted when we have a graduate of our own on the team. But once again, back to Simon for further questions.
Personally, what is your stand on UDRS?
Please identify yourself.
I'm Ventesh from Mechanical Department. Personally, what is your stand on UDRS? Umpire-Decision Review System.
On the DRS?
No. What is your stand on UDRS? What do you think of UDRS?
Can you not use short term or something? Can you explain what you're talking? Because both of us cannot understand.
Umpire Decision Review System.
I thought you meant the review system, yeah. Look, I actually think I don't mind it, provided that teams use it the right way. I don't like it when someone's blatantly out and they know they're out, and then they use it to try and check because there's 2 left or whatever. You see it happening at the end of an innings where a team's still got 2 reviews left or 1 review left, and they know that the batsman might be out and he still uses it. I don't like it when it's used like that, but as long as it takes out those bad decisions from the umpires, if there's a shocking decision that's wrong and you can change it, then that's obviously good. I guess the only thing is that teams sometimes don't use it at the right time. So you need to make sure that you use it at the right time, otherwise you can use them up too early in the innings and then not have any left later on. So, but I think if it helps the umpires, that's good, but they have a tough job, so as players you understand that they don't always get it right, and you just have to make sure that you get on with the job of accepting the decision if it's the way it goes.
Hello, sir. Who is your favourite player?
My favourite player? I grew up idolising Sir Vivian Richards, so obviously the West Indians were brilliant back in the 80s when I was growing up, and he was my idol. I wish I played like him.
Can I ask a question? Do you have a good cricket team at IIT Madras? Yes. If we had more time, Simon would have coached your team. We have an Indian team in University of Western Australia, and Simon has gone to coach them as well. So perhaps you can invite Simon.
Hello, sir. You must be aware of Sachin just recently wrote a letter to ICC suggesting 4 25 overs innings in a one-day international. And given Australia has tried that 20-25 overs innings, what do you think about that?
Yeah, we tried a 45-over competition last year where it was split 20 overs and then another 25 after the break, and it was reasonably successful. It provided a lot of close contests. And I guess the only thing is that now it's gone back to 50-over cricket in Australia, so it was only in for a year and we've changed it again. So I'm not sure why that's been the case. There was a few innovations. The bowlers were able to bowl more overs, so I think 3 bowlers were able to bowl up 13 overs, which meant that the best bowlers were bowling, which is obviously not a bad thing if you're seeing some great bowlers bowling and they're doing well, taking wickets, and people want to see that. But if the World Cup's going to be 50-over cricket and played without a break, then I guess it makes sense that most of the domestic competitions have that as well.
There are several seats in the front. Could you all come those there are several seats in the front. Please come forward.
Be careful with this. Be careful with this. Please don't. Be careful, dog.
Hello, sir. Would you rate Dhoni as a captain?
I certainly do. He's done a great job as captain of India. Obviously, they had a tough time in England, but the conditions there are so different to what the guys are used to here. He's been brilliant for Chennai as well, and they're going to be tough opposition for us during this 2020 tournament. If we can beat them, we know we're going to be hopefully on our way to getting through the semi-finals. But they've got a very good team, and he's a very calm captain. It seems like his players really respect him a lot, and he's a very good tactician as well. So I've got a very high opinion of him. Plus, he's a very, very good batsman as well.
Ask a sensible question.
What do you really think at the instant when India won the World Cup?
Ask a sensible
Though you already know that India beat Australia at
something not related to cricket. Sensible
unfortunately
question.
weren't strong enough during the World Cup. Obviously, in these conditions over here, India and Sri Lanka were too strong for us. And obviously India in the end won deserved winners. So, the guys have got a very good one-day team, got a lot of very good hitters, got some very good spinners. And in these conditions, that's what you need, guys that can play spin and guys can bowl spin. So there's no doubt that that's something that we're searching for that answer still, because when you lose players like Shane Warne and guys like that, it's very difficult to replace them overnight. And unfortunately, our selectors have tried probably about 12 different guys and haven't really given, apart from Nathan Horrocks, a long run at it. So, until they do that, it's going to be, an uphill battle for us whenever we play over here. I guess the toughest thing that I faced was probably about 4 years ago. I got told by the Australian selectors, I think I was about 31 years of age, they told me that they were never going to pick me again. And I just went away and thought, right, I don't know how much longer I'm going to play cricket for, so I just thought wherever I'm playing, I'm going to enjoy my cricket, whether it's playing club cricket, playing state cricket or county cricket.
and out of that, sort of just wanting to do well for the team I was playing for, I managed to have a really good summer for New South Wales, and then about 4 months later, I found myself back in the Australian Test team, and I think that to me, I sort of learned a lesson out of it in that I focused on the team, and because I was captain, I was just focusing on us winning the Sheffield Shield, and something really good came out of it for me personally. So I think from that was probably the toughest situation I was ever in, because to be told that your dream is over at 31 hit me pretty hard as a cricketer, and I guess I wanted to do something about it, and I was fortunate that I did, and thankfully in the last 3 or 4 years I got back in the Test team and have been able to play to a standard that I was really proud of. So I'm disappointed now that I can't keep playing. That's been taken out of my hands, but at least I know that I finished my career on a high. They might still pick me again, I'm not sure, but I'm certainly going to go out there and just keep enjoying my cricket wherever I played. And I think that's something that I've certainly learned a valuable lesson from, that if you never give up, you never know what's around the corner.
So, can you reveal some of your fitness secrets? We don't see Australian cricketers not going out of match for not being fit.
Fitness secrets. It takes a lot of hard work. We train very hard. I think all the teams around the world train very hard now, because all the science that's involved in how we train is probably changed a lot. I guess the big thing for us now is how we recover, because there's so much cricket and there's so much travel. Recovery's become a big part of it, so whether it's ice baths or eating the right foods, not drinking alcohol, all those sort of things, getting plenty of sleep, those are the reasons you can stay fit and healthy. So it's a combination of things. You have to do the hard work. You can't just sort of roll up and expect to play. And it's not just work in the gym, it's skill work as well, so that you feel that your skills are in a good place to perform, because there's always pressure for spots, there's always pressure from the media, and there's also pressure from the public that want to see guys playing at a high level. So all those expectations mean that you have to work hard, otherwise someone else will do it and be better than you.
Which West Indian fast bowler would you like to face?
Back in the 80s, probably none of them. But nowadays, unfortunately, they're not as strong as they used to be. So it's been, as a batsman, it's actually probably been quite nice to face a few of their guys in the last few years. And quite a few guys around the world have probably made some nice big scores. But I had a lot of respect for the West Indians from many years ago. I've been fortunate and very privileged to have met quite a few of them when we toured there a couple of years ago. And I was very lucky to meet my idol, Sir Viv Richards, on that tour. And he was magnificent. So I think probably the best of them. They always said that Malcolm Marshall was the greatest, but unfortunately, he passed away. But whether it's Curtly Ambrose or Paulie Walsh, there's any number of them that the list goes on and on. But I was, I guess, fortunate that I was only watching them on TV and not getting to face them. But I've always loved facing quick bowling, having grown up in Perth on a quick wicket. So it would have been nice to have seen how it went, but that'll never be.
Hi, this is Abhishek. I would like to ask you a question about your. I'd like to ask you a question. Okay, I'd like to ask you a question regarding the format of the game. So, as a cricket player, what do you think about T20s coming up and one-day internationals? Are we playing too much of T20s and one-day internationals without giving importance to the Test cricket? As a cricket player, what is your choice? I mean, what do you think should be the format of game that has to be given primary importance?
Yeah, it's a good question, because Test cricket is obviously under pressure from the other forms of the game, because obviously the money that's involved in one-day cricket and 2020 cricket is a lot greater. So guys are more inclined to be trying to play 2020 cricket. It's a lot easier to play because, I shouldn't say it's easier, but it's easier physically because you only have to be out there for an hour or an hour and a quarter, and guys only have to bowl 4 overs. So the quick bowlers around the world, it's a lot easier for them to play that, and obviously the IPL guys can make a lot more money than they do playing 12 months of the year and having to work hard in Test cricket. So the danger is a lot of the quick bowlers around the world will retire from Test cricket and just do that. But my preference is personally playing Test cricket, because that's what I love playing. But I think everyone's different. Some guys love playing 2020 cricket. some guys like playing one-day cricket, but at the end of the day, there is probably too much cricket being played, and it's reaching a point where there's so much that something's got to give. So whether it means that Test cricket starts to get weaker because the best players get injured and they're focusing on 2020 cricket, I hope that doesn't happen because hopefully Test cricket can stay strong for a long time to come.
Once again, some students in the middle, can you come forward again? I can see some people struggling at the end to make way. Please leave the corridors empty as far as possible. On right, left, wherever you find a place. Even sitting on the floor is all right for Simon. Please try to leave the front open in case people are trying to.
Hi. Don't you think after the retirement of Gilchrist, Hayden, yourself, and all the big names,
I wouldn't put myself in that category, but thank you.
those are really big names, but after their retirement, Australia is not the Australia. I mean, we used to see the Australia and it is not only Australia. So, don't you think that Australia has become weak, and was it that only it was just a fluke that some good people came in and there was some good cricket, or was it the culture of Australia which helped make these great men?
I think at that level, it always takes time for guys to find their feet. I look at guys like, Steve Ward took him about 26 tests to make his first Test 100. So the young players that we've got coming through now, they need a bit of time to find their feet at Test level and feel comfortable at international level because it doesn't just happen overnight. And the same can be said, if Shane Warne had been dropped after his first couple of tests, who knows, we might never have seen one of the greatest of the game, if not the greatest bowler of all time. So that's what the selectors have to do now, is try and find, the next lot of talented players to take us through to the next phase. So we have lost a lot of great players, and I think that'll happen to the Indian team soon as well, with losing Sachin and Rahul Dravid and those guys. So you guys better watch out as well.
But India has a large population. We'll find it.
And just a request, just say hi to Aaron Gilchrist from this side.
That's it. Excuse me. My name is Siddharth. I mean, the Australians have always been criticized for being over-aggressive on the field. They're not the nicest people on the field. I mean, not as long. So is it something that you guys plan in the dressing room? It's just unfortunate that the world sees you in that way.
Yeah, look, it is something we talk about in the rooms. I mean, some of the best sledgers of all time, guys like Steve Waugh and Matty Hayden and Shane Warne and Glenn McGrath. I grew up, these guys were sort of, mentors, I guess, to a lot of us younger guys. So that's how we learned how to sledge. But no, I think a lot of it's different now. I don't think there's as much that goes on because there's so much coverage with the media, stuff mics and all that sort of stuff. So you don't tend to see too many confrontations now between players. But we did have a bad reputation there for a while. So but seeing as those guys are no longer around, I think maybe that's probably why we might have dropped down the rankings a bit. We've gone a bit too soft.
I just want to say something about them. Having spent a lot of time with West Australian cricketers, because our University of Western Australia has a lot of interest in cricket. We have international cricket ground. I have travelled with full West Australian cricket team on more than 2 occasions, and having known them personally, when you sit and eat dinner with them, you walk with them, you talk to them, they are such down-to-earth people. They are happy to carry your bag. They are happy to be, not like demigods, which our cricketers tend to be. So that is the other side I like about them. I know about the weakness. I don't like it at all, and I hope they don't plan it in the dressing rooms anymore.
Hello, sir. This way. Okay. One of the main complaints against Test cricket, along with the rise of T20 and one-day internationals, is a lot of Test matches do not end in results. They all produce dull draws, especially with flat tracks in India and all that. So even though the scoring rates have actually risen over the past decade or two, what do you think should be done to encourage more results in test matches? Maybe something like the concept of the timeless test. This concept was actually bandied about a month back. That is one question. And the other question is this: what is the reaction in Australia to the English cricket team actually being number one for the change, instead of being at the bottom of the table?
I'll answer that first. It's not great that England are number one. Only being in Australia. But look, they deserve to be. They've been the best team in Test cricket now for, probably 18 months, if not longer. So they thoroughly deserve that accolade. They're well led by Strauss. They've got a good coach in Andy Flower, and they've got a lot of players now that have played sort of 50, 60 tests and are very comfortable at that level and playing at a very high standard. They've got a very good spinner in Swan, so they've got to. They deserve to be up there. In regards to your first question, I'm not sure about the timeless test because I think with the media now and the TV coverage, the tests are sort of almost back to back all the time. So, if a test ends up going for 7 or 8 days, which it probably could over here on some of these beautiful batting tracks, I don't think the TV broadcasts will be able to put that into their schedule. But yeah, look, it is a concern. I think people will probably like to see a good balance between bat and ball. So whether it's meaning that the curators prepare something with a little bit more grass on it or have a little bit more life in it in the first day or two so that wickets do fall and then it gradually flattens out and becomes a good wicket and then spins at the end. Maybe that's something that has to be done. But at the moment there are probably a lot more draws in Test cricket than results.
So, do you think age is being overemphasized these days in cricket?
Age? Oh, definitely. I look 36 to what?
We didn't get to see Tendulkar score a double century till he was 38. Many people didn't do things until they were late in their 30s.
Yeah, look, I think I've said this all along. Dravid's a great example, Tendulkar's a great example. It shouldn't be about age, it should be about performance. And if you've got the desire and you work hard enough and you're still performing, then you should be able to do what you love doing. They're doing. But yeah, unfortunately, I'm not able to do that. But that's the way it goes. That's life, and you move on. So, but I'm still going to enjoy playing cricket for New South Wales and wherever else. So, I'm very fortunate. I could be doing a lot worse things in life than that. So, I can't complain.
Sir, good evening.
Can I again ask some of the students to walk on the left because?
Sir, good evening. This is Tarun, sir. Sir, India has been known for its batting, more known for its batting rather than bowling. And Australians, I want to know, do you fear about Indian bowling? And if you do, who is the player who has worried you the most?
I think, whenever we come here, obviously the spinners, because the wickets are different to what we play on at home, the spinners are always a concern for us. So Harbhajan and Kumble and those sort of guys have always been a challenge. But I think now, Zahir Khan, obviously he was injured in England, he was a huge loss for you guys. He's very experienced, he's very good with the old ball and the new ball, and he's played a lot of cricket around the world. So Sharma's someone that's getting better the more he's playing. He had a good tour of England, he was probably one of the few guys that took wickets, I guess. And so did Praveen Kumar, he hasn't played a lot of cricket either, or Test cricket, I should say. So, there's a few guys there that are probably going to start to come into their own in the next year or two.
So, apart from spinners, as in spinners are the strength, so fast bowling, what do you think about India? Any time India go ahead with that?
I looked at the fast bowlers probably enjoy coming to Australia because they get a little bit more assistance from our wickets. The wickets are quicker and bouncier, but here it's hard work for the quick bowlers because it's obviously hot. The wickets don't bounce a lot, so they don't get as much assistance. But Zahir Khan's done very well over here in these conditions, being able to reverse the old ball, and he's also dangerous with the new ball. So, he was a big loss for you guys.
Hi Simon, I'm Pallavi. I just wanted to ask one personal question. Were you good at studies and you had to choose between cricket and studies, or had it always been like you wanted to go ahead with cricket only? Because being in IITM, we face this dilemma that even if we are good at something, there's always the obvious career option which we want to go forward with. So what is the thing which you'd like to tell us that if you're good at something, then be ready to go with it? Or what was the thing which you did? Were you good, but you had to make a choice, or cricket was your obvious choice from the beginning?
My choice would be to follow your heart and you do what you're passionate about. So that's what I've always done, and I feel that I'm happy making that choice. It was probably an easier option to go down the path of working and getting a job because, as I said before, professional sport is cutthroat. When you're 18, 19 years of age, you don't know if you're going to be good enough to make it. And there's only so many spots, so it was a bit of a risk, but for me it was a risk worth taking because I was passionate about it. So I did enjoy studying, and as I said, it certainly took a lot of pressure off. But I think if that's what you love doing, whatever field it is, if you follow your heart and you're passionate about it, then I think you'll do a good job with it because you're enjoying what you're doing, and that's what I did.
Hi, Simon. There's a very famous quote about Ian. There is two kinds of batsmen, Sachin and all the others. So, what according to you makes him the biggest legend of the game?
Sorry?
What according to you makes him the biggest legend of the game?
Oh, I guess the fact that he's done it for 20 years. I mean, it's not easy to be at that level for such a long period of time and to have the drive to continually want to get better. And to be able to perform like he has in the last sort of 12 months or so, to be able to get 200 in a one-day game, which is a world record, and I think he averaged 80 in Test cricket for the last year. And to do that as a 37 or 38-year-old, I'm not sure how old he's right up there. It's phenomenal because it takes a lot of fitness, a lot of drive to do that. He's achieved everything in the game. There's not much else he has to achieve, but to be able to do that takes a phenomenal amount of character. So that's why he's revered.
Hi Simon, I would like to ask this question to you that how much of your success or the great Australian team's success is down to preparation and how much of it is due to the talent that you guys have?
Well, I think a lot of the time your preparation is what helps you perform because if you don't do the work, you sort of leave yourself open to not performing. It's like anything, whether you study for an exam, whether you don't get in the nets and practice for cricket. You go in with confidence if you've done the work and done the preparation. If you don't, you go in a bit hesitant and you're not sure how you're going to go because you haven't done the work. So it's not too dissimilar whatever field you're doing. But in terms of Test cricket, yes, we had a lot of talent in that team, but at times there was also a lot of different egos in that team, and that's not always the easiest thing for the captain and coach to manage. So I think great teams aren't just about having great players. Yes, we had a lot of great players, but at the same time, we had a lot of guys who were willing to do the little things for the team so that the team had success.
Simon? Yeah.
We have limited time. I'm just going to ask a couple of photos to be taken with the larger group with Simon. And maybe last two questions after this.
If not a cricketer, what would you have become? I mean, I have a few questions. If not a cricketer, what would you have become? And what do you see yourself doing after cricket?
Yeah, that's a good question.
And wait, I have one more. And Lakshman has especially been good against you guys. So what do you actually think when he walks on the field? Do you think he's a big pain in the neck or do you sledge against him like such a pain?
Yeah, we always hope he's injured when we play them. He's a great player, and he's got a phenomenal record against us. So maybe we need to hire the England bowlers because I don't think he does as well against the English bowlers. So maybe we need to get them playing for Australia. But in regards to your question, I did the Bachelor of Commerce degree, so I was planning on maybe working in that field, but that didn't eventuate. When I finish, I'm actually planning for that now because I'm 36. I only take it year by year now in terms of my cricket career, but I still love playing, so I'll keep playing while I'm contributing and enjoying that. But I've actually looked into doing some mentoring work, which is what I've been doing as captain of New South Wales when I finish. It's something that it'll be still in the sporting field, and it's something that I've enjoyed because I'm used to being around a team. I think it'd be nice to be in that environment still, and helping out young guys, in professional sport, which is what I sort of know, having done it for the last 15 years. Because you can go down the wrong path in professional sport and end up learning the hard way. And I guess through experience, that's something that I think I've got the skills to be able to pass on to all the younger guys.
Hello, Simon. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, it became a habit. It's something I did when I first started playing for WA because of the wicket being quick and bouncy at the whacker. If you didn't get in line with the ball, then you were a chance to nick the ball a lot to the slips. And I guess for me, I wanted to play to my strengths, so I was wanting the bowlers to bowl with the stumps and my pads. So that was sort of the reason I did it, and then it became a habit. And once you do something over a number of years and repeat it, it's very difficult to stop doing that. So I've sort of gone with it, and thankfully I've made a few runs along the way. It's got me out a few times, but I think cricket's about making runs as well, and thankfully I've managed to make a few runs.
Hello, Simon. Yeah. Hi. What's the toughest part of your time as a cricketer in your career?
The best time?
Toughest time which you faced in your entire cricketing career?
Toughest time?
Yeah.
Probably for me was the 2005 Ashes. I was struggling a bit. I was batting at 6, which probably doesn't really suit me. I prefer to get out and start with the bat at the top of the order. And Andrew Quintosh was on fire that series, bowling reverse around the wicket to myself and Gilchrist and a few others. And it was tough work. So the fact that we lost, I think the first Ashes we lost for a long time. So that was probably my toughest time in Test cricket, and I learned a lot of valuable lessons out of it.
I'm going to challenge all the photographers to take some good photos with Simon being in the middle and most of you present, because we can't take individual photos, we can't stay on for individual autographs. So can we have some nice group photos, some in this room and maybe some outside? So before we do that, I think the organizers have some other. The message for young, brilliant engineers is the very last question. Sometimes. I think there's a burning desire for a question. Yes. We haven't called anybody forward. Could you please respectfully go back to your places? Otherwise it will become chaotic. We want to spend some more time pleasantly with all of you, but don't crowd around. We will be going outside. Let them finish with the formality. Please let them finish with the formality. All right.
Please cooperate with us. Don't exceed the first row. Please stand a little bit back. Be careful.
You have to show, you have been very nice audience. Please show restraint.
Please stand a bit back. Behind the first row at least, please. On behalf of IIT Madras, I invite our General Secretary, Bharani, to give a memento to Simon and a bouquet to Hema ma'am.
Please be careful. It's done. Just switch it off.